What's up with it, y'all? It's neighborhood Nipsey Hussle. Right now we standing on the corner of Crenshaw and Slauson in the Crenshaw district on the west side. Like my homeboy JP would say, this is my playground, so follow me.
For Complex News, I'm Speedy Mormon, and Nipsey Hussle has passed away. He was just 33 years old. The news broke online that Nipsey had been shot in Los Angeles in an incident that left 2 others wounded as well. It felt like everything had stopped. Things paused. No new information surfaced in what felt like hours. As the news spread like wildfire, more and more people on social were blindsided by the news. Prayers were tallying up. Well wishes pouring in. Then, a little after an hour after those reports initially released, NBC News reported what no one wanted to hear. Rapper Nipsey Hussle has been pronounced dead at the hospital after being shot outside his clothing company in South Los Angeles. Multiple law enforcement sources familiar with the incident tell NBC News. According to LA Police Chief Chris Martinez, Nipsey was shot multiple times in the parking lot at Marathon Clothing on West Lawson Avenue in South Los Angeles at about 3:25 Pacific time and was pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. 2 other men were shot in the attack. One was being treated at a hospital and the other declined treatment. A little over an hour and a half before police say Nipsey was shot, a tweet was sent out from his account saying, "Having strong enemies is a blessing." It's not known whether or not the tweet is at all connected to the killing. Per NBC's report, the suspect or suspects remain at large. Reactions came in from just about everyone in the hip-hop community, from Drake to Meek Mill to A$AP Rocky and Rihanna. Everyone is stunned. Producer Cardo Got Wings compared this day to the day that Pac died. Hundreds of mourners have gathered where the shooting happened to pay respects and play his music. Nip is someone we've covered a lot here at Complex. Full transparency, the relationship has had its ups and its downs, something that we touched on and cleared up in a 2013 interview about his proud-to-pay marketing strategy. Now, Nip was proudly from Crenshaw, a tough neighborhood in South Central LA. "I grew up in gang culture. We dealt with death, with murder. It was like living in a war zone where people die on these blocks and everybody is a little bit immune to it. I guess they call it post-traumatic stress when you have people that have been at war for such a long time. I think LA suffers from that because it's not normal, yet we embrace it like it is after a while." He was openly a member of the Rollin' 60s Crips, but never let it define him. Almost a decade ago, he said, "Niggas is really only gangbanging because of a lack of options. Wherever a dude might be at now is out of hopelessness." He dropped his debut tape Slauson Boy Volume 1 back in 2005. The site of his store where he was killed is where it all began. He also met Lauren London at his store.
This parking lot, it was our block, and we originally popped our trunk and started selling mixtapes out the trunk and really trying to pursue this music thing.
In 2008, Bullets Ain't Got No Name Volumes 1 and 2 dropped, tapes that solidified him as next up out of the West. 2009 was the year he dropped his first single, Hustle in the House. The joint, which sampled Criss Cross's record Jump, was polarizing to say the least. Some people loved the song and others, particularly mothers, felt it promoted gang culture. Either way, it was a hit for Hussle. It was also the year he let Bullets Ain't Got No Name Volume 3 fly. In 2010, he was named a XXL freshman and dropped the Marathon mixtape, which had production from Ryan Leslie and Big Crit. 2011 saw the release of the follow-up, The Marathon Continues, which had records featuring YG and Dom Kennedy, 2 West Coasters who would later become frequent collaborators. Over the course of the next few years, he dropped a slew of projects. The Marathon Continues, Extra Laps, Raw, Nip Hussle the Great Volume 1 and 2, Crenshaw, Mailbox Money, Slauson Boy 2, Famous Lies and Unpopular Truths, and No Pressure. The Crenshaw tape was most notable for being sold at a $100 price point as Nipsey rolled out his hashtag #ProudToPay campaign limited to 1,000 copies. He sold out in less than 24 hours, including 100 of them to Jay-Z. He then continued the Proud to Pay campaign and sold the first 100 copies of Mailbox Money for $1,000 in 2014. After dropping music for over 10 years and being fully independent since 2010 after getting out of his deal with Epic, Nipsey began a partnership with Atlantic Records and released arguably his best work to date, 2018's Victory Lap. His debut album was nominated for Best Rap Album at the Grammys. He ultimately wouldn't win the trophy, but it was a win for the culture to see Nip in contention. His single Racks in the Middle with Roddy Ricch is bubbling in the streets as we speak as an early contender for Song of the Summer. Nip never relied on radio play or mainstream success to define him. He was trying to build an empire around his music. What was interesting to see was large news outlets reporting that rapper Nipsey Hussle had been killed. It's just a title that, for me, doesn't seem fitting. He was way more than that. On a general level, he was a father of two. He was a long-term partner to Lauren London. He was a son. He was a brother, a friend. Deeper than that, though, he was a visionary, a unique talent. He was, as cliche as this may sound, a rose that grew from the concrete at the intersection of Slauson and Crenshaw Boulevard. Let me preface this part of the video by saying there's no proper way to detail someone's influence and impact on an entire culture. 33 years of life cannot be summarized into a few minute-long video. It's just not possible. But let me try my best to speak on who Nipsey Hussle was, not just in my own point of view, but those he very personally impacted. He was the type of guy who hired a local artist to paint a local basketball court, to do book bag giveaways. He directly contradicted the stereotype of people who get on. He didn't forget where he came from. He poured money and resources into his community. He didn't forget those around him. He hired people with felonies who couldn't find work elsewhere. He opened a co-work space for entrepreneurs from his hometown. He opened a science, technology, engineering, and math center for children to be able to crack into industries otherwise dominated by non-minorities. He spoke about ownership and having the ability to call something yours. What he did in the Crenshaw area is like the anti-gentrification. Instead of outsiders coming in and buying up the property, he did. I've never been to the Marathon store personally, but a good friend of mine said it wouldn't be out of the ordinary to see someone travel all the way there just to stop at the shop. From what a friend of his says, he made Crenshaw a place that people were proud to call home. He challenged conventional ideas of what a black man is supposed to be and supposed to like and supposed to be interested in. Personally, I don't believe that anyone's life is more important than another's. But certain people's passing just hurts more. Some people, whether you know them personally or not, you just feel closer to, and Nipsey was one of those people. There's something weird about life. It feels like it's always the people trying to better the world that die. The ones trying to teach the next generation, trying to do good. It's always the good ones, as they say. We've all heard the colloquialisms, but there's an eerie truth. The worst part is they never deserve to go out the way that they do either. Here's a quote that he spit to us here at Complex. That's what it's about, adding something to the game that people can take from. I know in my heart that it's a higher power and a higher value to what we can do. The times we do it right and it connects and it has that effect on people, that's really, really fulfilling. Nipsey, you did that. You added way more than just something to the game. I've only personally encountered Nipsey a couple of times, but if you crossed his path, you saw the real. Nipsey died on Sunday. On Monday at 4 p.m., he was set to meet with the LA Chief of Police to talk about ways to end gang violence and help kids. That was the type of person that Nipsey was. He was gunned down on his own property that he bought. He very largely had Slauson tattooed on his back, the block that he called home. He passed away on that street. Slauson. Simply put, I don't understand this life. I don't. Maybe it's not for us to understand. But if there's one thing I've learned from loss, it's to celebrate life. For those of you who rock with Nip and what he did, bump his music, share his videos, support what he supported, love others, and most importantly, help the community that Nip so desperately continued to help. The marathon continues. Rest in power, Nip. For Complex News, I'm Speedy Mormon.